It is a rare honor and privilege to visit this wonderful community, and I would like to sincerely express my appreciation for all your warm hospitality. It is very enriching to visit a warm community like this, where people obviously care very deeply about one another with shared values and commitments. And although in a sense, under the wonderful guidance of Venerable Chuden, it is an experiment in that there are no similar communities in the United States, as far as I know. So you're all pioneers, and that's a wonderful place to be in, because you can bring fresh insights and fresh applications of ancient insights to everything that you do here. I was just reading the Charter for Compassion, the Universal Charter for Compassion downstairs. And I applaud that you have it posted there, because it's such a wonderful document, embodying the wisdom of so many masters from so many different cultures and traditions and religions. And the Charter points up the centrality, how central and important compassion is for all human beings. It says compassion is the will to dethrone ourselves as the center of our world and put someone else in that place, which is a marvelous concept, isn't it? It could have been plucked right out of the Bodhicharyavatara, but here it is becoming a universal sort of gold standard for how human beings should treat one another. Now, going from there to how we should treat each other, to how we do treat each other, of course, this is the challenge. This is both the goal and the path, isn't it? And so here you have a marvelous opportunity to do exactly that on a day-to-day basis. It's not always possible out in the real world, the cruel world. The unreal world. Because in the unreal, cruel world, not everyone shares this basic assumption that it's a good to dethrone oneself as the center of our own world. After all, that's where we've been for quite some time, isn't it? And it's kind of a shake-up, a shock to sort of dethrone ourselves. But, and so, in outside, it often leads to conflicts and, violence and endless department meetings all the rest of it. But hopefully, by sharing this common concern and commitment to compassion, to dethroning ourselves as the center of our world, we can move very carefully, constructively, and happily toward a more peaceful world. Last week, Roshi Aiken died. And being from Hawaii, this was a real passing for all of us. It was the passing of an era. If you're not familiar with Roshi Robert Aiken, he was a pioneer in the Zen movement in the United States. He came in contact with Buddhism in Japan when he was a translator for the U.S. Army during the occupation, the American occupation of Japan following World War II. And he met some great Zen masters and started a Zen center in Hawaii, originally named Diamond Sangha. And I used to go to this center when I was a student. When wasn't I a student? But in the early 70s. And he worked very hard to bring Buddhism to the American people. And he was also a leader in Buddhist social activism. He doesn't always get credited. And here's the sort of lesson for us, I think. He never sought the limelight. He never sought to be the focus of attention. He never sought publicity for what he was doing. But quietly, everyone knew, and people recognized the power of his convictions to stand up for peace, suddenly we realized that it was okay to be a Buddhist and go to the Peace March. Now today we might just accept that unquestioningly, but in the early 70s that was quite revolutionary. You were either a politico or a religious fanatic, but rarely both at one time. Right? And so we felt empowered to both be meditators and to be social activists. He was also a pioneer in the Buddhist prison movement. In Hawaii, it took him 7 years to get Buddhist meditation into the prison system. And he refused to give up. And thanks to him, for the last 20 years, we've had Buddhist meditation in the prison system there. So sometimes it's important to remember great pioneers, great Buddhist leaders, and especially pioneers of Buddhism in the United States, because the context changes, but the teachings are universal. So I encourage, I challenge you all to put into practice this universal charter of compassion and join together in dethroning ourselves as the center of our world, and instead placing someone else in that position so we can all together work for a more peaceful and happy world.